Okay, so this is, I believe, my third Matt Furey inspired combat conditioning leg workout. This one was done inside just because the weather's been weird and it's late at night. And one of the advantages of being inside, though, is I can actually film my legs. So I'm putting the camera angle lower intentionally so that you can see how my legs are moving in some of these exercises because it's not always apparent. I was pretty fatigued, so I kept this one short. I was also, space constrained, so that's why there wasn't any jump roping. But I think it went fine. I'm able to up the reps. I think I got to like close to like 75 or something for the basic Hindu squats. I'd like to break 100 reps before the monthly challenge is over. They feel very springy. I think I've improved the plyometric ability of my legs, but I'm also just noticing the areas that are not getting trained as much as I'm noticing the areas that are getting trained. Like my adductors have been super sore. I think they're just getting a ton of work from the jumping squats and the jumping lunges, things like that. Besides that, my flexibility has stayed like kind of okay, but in terms of muscle mass, my glutes and quads kind of shrank a little bit. My glutes shrank a little bit initially and then got to a point where they kind of stayed the same. The one thing that I did notice though is with all the unilateral work I'm doing, I've had a glute imbalance for years where one side's a lot more muscular than the other because of an old SI joint injury. I've noticed that it seems like I'm fixing all of the symmetry on that, which is really exciting. The closer I can get to fixing that asymmetry, the better. So that is one silver lining. The bottom part of my hamstrings, essentially where all the knee flexion is, those have been pretty good, but then the muscles higher up that kind of tie into your glutes have not been trained as much just because I'm not doing any like real hip hinging. So I'd say in terms of maintaining muscle mass, I mean, it really depends where you start. I think you can achieve a moderate amount of muscle mass using just pure calisthenics like this. But unless you're somebody who's really genetically gifted, um, I don't think you're going to be able to like really build as much mass as if you were lifting weights. So it's not like you're losing it completely or you wouldn't gain any muscle mass if you're kind of a beginner or intermediate. But when you're at the advanced stage, this is really not anything compared to um, using weights in some capacity. So I'm definitely going to be using weights again. I like these for conditioning, but I think legs definitely seem like the area where I'm going to need the weights the most to really just challenge and stimulate them. Besides that, it feels good though. I've definitely gotten to a point where I'm a lot more skilled at these specific movements, and it's become obvious which movements I want to keep around and which ones I don't. I don't think any of the movements are bad, but there are certain movements that are not really necessary. I think I can just get away with doing others. There's multiple ways to achieve the same goal, and I think in this case, I'm probably just going to pick ways that are more efficient. But I'm definitely going to keep the handful of exercises that I think are really effective. So the lunges, the jumping jacks, jump roping, and the Hindu squats, I think are going to stay in. I think it's good to just go through all the exercises if you're somebody who's new to this and then see what works for you because, I'm finding which ones work for my needs versus, someone else's needs. And so I'm able to kind of fine tune for myself. But I think it's definitely worthwhile to fine tune for yourself because you might just have different physical requirements that you need to train for. I wanted to reiterate, I'm not saying any of these exercises are bad. They're all pretty good. I just don't need to do all of them because I know that there are certain things that I do in my normal training that cover a lot of those bases. You never really want to get to a point of redundancy with training, especially if it's something fatiguing like this, like high rep work, because you're just taking away from things that aren't redundant and are going to really help you advance.